Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and we've been doing a series of programs about the Texas Tech University Health Science Center, and it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Dr. Sharon Cannon, who is here to talk about some really good news that the School of Nursing just got, but also to talk in general about the nursing profession and some of the things you need to know if you're thinking about, or you've got a member of your family that's thinking about going into nursing. And Dr. Cannon, it is such a pleasure to have you. And before we start, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself and your credentials and how you got here to Texas Tech University Health Science Center School of Nursing.
Well, thank you very much, Johnny. It's a real pleasure to be here. I have deep roots with West Texas. At times, I probably don't sound a whole lot like a Texan, but I can get right back into it. I was born in Corpus Christi, and then my family moved to Houston. And I stayed there till about the 8th grade. But prior to that, when I was just maybe a toddler, I actually lived in Odessa, Texas.
Because your dad was in the oil business.
That's right. And so when I was in the 8th grade, he decided to go to Montana. So I went to Montana and graduated from high school there, and had always wanted to be a nurse. Practiced with my dolls. My dolls had a lot of surgery, a lot of Band-Aids. I actually sewed them up with needles and thread. Had a lot of fun doing that, but always knew that was something I wanted to do. So I went to St. Louis University, and typical 18-year-old wanting to go away to college, and got married, had children, stayed in that area. As sometimes happens in life, you end up divorced. But I decided, okay, I want to go back to school, so I did. Got my master's degree in nursing. I got a doctorate in education. Had 2 grown kids that were home and really wouldn't leave the nest.
You had to push them out.
So one day I said to them, okay, not only am I getting a new job, but I'm moving away, not only out of town, but out of state. And so y'all need to find a place to live.
To fly this nest.
You bet, you bet. So I went to Arkansas as an assistant dean in University of Arkansas Medical Sciences and stayed there for a couple years. And then I went to University of Alabama Hospital and was a director there. And then through an acquaintance said to me, would you be interested in Texas? And my children said, they had moved to Houston by then, said, you're a misplaced Texan, Mom, you need to come home. So I went to Lubbock. Now, their only response to that was, couldn't you have gotten a little closer, Mom?
Got about as far away as you could.
Yeah,
Houston.
so I was there at the School of Nursing in Lubbock.
And I might say that along the way, you learned that you had real 2 loves. The nursing was your first love, and teaching was your second.
That's true, and Texas was home, so that was a good combination for me. So after being there for a few years, got married again, and moved to a ranch, and found out what ranch life is really like. Brought in my awareness a lot of what we need to look at in healthcare. And so prompted me to
for the vast rural areas that are so underserved with
and you know, when you live on a ranch and you're 35 minutes from any kind of assistance or even further, it's a big difference. You and I are used to picking up the phone and dialing 911 and somebody's right there. That doesn't happen when you live in rural areas as
or
easily.
when you have a wreck on the interstate at Sierra Blanca.
That's right. So my husband had died, and I spent some time taking care of my dad. And so I opened a consulting business and did that, and then had the opportunity to come here to Odessa, to the Permian Basin, as the regional dean, and so I did that. And
it fits so much because we are a pioneer. Texas Tech University is a pioneer in rural health. And at this point, this would be a good time to discuss the difference in training for rural health and urban health. Of course, it's where you don't have, it's underserved medical facilities. in these very sparsely populated, wide open spaces. But what's the training difference?
I think the biggest thing is the awareness of what's available, what are the resources that are there, the types of health care that you can access. Let me give you for instance, nurse practitioners who are nurses who have a master's degree, they specialize in nursing, and it may be family practice, it could be pediatric, it could be acute care.
It's specialized nursing.
So they specialize in that. But they began, actually, nurse practitioners started in Kentucky to serve rural communities that had no health care.
That had no doctors.
Had no doctors. And
Part
of the problem with that is that, and it happens in nursing, in allied health, and many of the professions, pharmacy and all, students who even live in the rural areas that come to college thinking I'll go back and practice get attracted to city life, and so they don't go back. There are some communities that I know here in West Texas who have actually paid for the education of physicians or nurses so that they would come back and serve their citizens who live in their area. So it's really important that we look at that. So we prepare in our educational process, we teach our students about what are the resources, how can you provide care in those areas that's different, because you don't have everything available to you.
And the different demands that are made on them.
That's right.
that are different from what's made on the urban.
Truly. And you know, when we look at the direction of where healthcare is going today, we really have to take a look at underserved rural areas. It's just tremendously important. When I mentioned about being on a ranch, and even if you call 911, it's going to be 35, 40 minutes before they get to you. We all know about the golden hour. The golden hour is basically the amount of time that we're going to get the best results that we have to work with.
And sometimes that's as long as you've got. We're going to have to take a break right now, but Dr. Cannon is giving us such great information. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.